you, right?
Yeah.
I'll just get that. So I'll close that, make sure that's right. Hey, I'm not sure this is up yet. It doesn't say live on the thing, but now it is. There we go. Hey guys, good morning. Douglas Peacock here again, and I brought my lovely wife today because we're going to be talking about relationships. And
Hi guys.
yes, and she's the brains of our trust here, so one of the things I thought, well, I'll bring Terry Ann in to give her perspective and not just about how I see relationships. So we know our relationships, they can either be a beautiful waltz or a tango, and because I'm always out of step and Terry Ann's a great dancer, she has to try to adjust to my type of dancing. Or it can be a cat fight, and we can have fur going everywhere. And this is usually when we're in the energy of blame and shame and justification and all those sorts of things. But when we look at it...
Hey, I'm just interrupting you. Hey, can we, just before you get into all the nuts and bolts, because we
That's
want
where
to
I
go
go.
some time, because you jumped so far. I don't know about you guys, but man, that was fast, straight into it. I'm like, ooh.
Hey, Ken.
Can I ask these guys just about that thing that I asked you about last week when we were on our way down to the markets? And I just want to get some feedback. Sorry, I'm hijacking this now. Sorry. I just want to get some feedback from some of you guys in terms of. So I have a person who I don't know. She introduced me to a program or a platform, and so I haven't met her in person. We've never really had a conversation or anything. She just popped a link and I checked it out, and I'm joined the platform. So it's like a referral link, right, through Facebook. The joys of social media. But every now and then, I'm going to pull it up. I get a message from her, but I just want to check whether or not you guys think this is really weird. And so whether you're watching it live or on the replay, make sure you tell me what you think about this, and just tell me whether it's a really weird conversation. Hold on, let me see if I can find it. Okay, so what I get is that I get a hi.
Text message hi on the messenger.
Just hi. Like, what are you meant to do with it when somebody just says hi? And I'm going, well, okay, this is on Messenger. And so I wrote back and said, hi, back, because I kind of thought, I'm sorry, this is like crickets. This is like the most uncomfortable conversation I've ever had. Like, I don't know, have you guys got somebody who's like that? It's like, oh, so then a day later I get, how are you going? So I'm like, well, how do I reply back to that? I don't actually know you, and I'm not here to share my life story with you. So I went, good, thank you. How are you going? Like, is this just the most stilted conversation? Like, do you have people who converse with you in that manner? Like, this is your weird relationship. That's why I'm bringing it up, because Doug said, look, can you come and join me this morning, because we're going to be talking about relationships. And I went, sure. And I just thought, well, is this a really weird relationship? And do people go really funky? Because I said to Doug when we were on the car, I said, that would be like turning up at a party, walking up to a group of people and going, hi.
Socially
and
awkward.
Then saying nothing else. And then just going, how are you? Good. And then nothing else. Like, I don't know about you guys, but is that just really awkward? Because that's what it feels like to me, is that it's just really socially awkward. So if you're watching this on the replay or on the live, give me a thumbs up or give me a like if you know that you've got some people like that who in their relationships are really awkward, or just like, that's just really weird. It's really weird to converse in that manner. That's not normal. That's not how we talk normally. Yeah, I just want to kick that off from a relationship perspective.
Yeah, it's funny because we're talking the other day, I was talking to my brother, and he says, you know, with everyone being in shutdown, and they've all gone, and he says you walk along, you see people walking on the street, and you say hi to them, and it's like, oh, shit, what's going on? Don't talk to me. It's like the communication skills has stopped. And we're going, hello, are you there? And you know, have you experienced that, or do you find that you're shutting down? You know, what's it of you? It's because we find it a bit weird. If someone just says hi, I'll get someone who'll just wave, and on my messenger, and I'll go, well, what am I supposed to do back? Am I supposed to wave back? Am I supposed to start a conversation? I don't even know them from bar of soap.
Or maybe we need to be educated on the social media etiquettes, up to date etiquettes on what you're meant to do when people do that. So anyway, sorry to hijack that, but I just wanted to throw that in there because that was relationships.
Yeah. So one of the things that I wanted to look at and just sort of touch on, and Tyrion says I go deep, too fast, I bloom and go flying into it, and that's just me. As the everywhere we look in our life, everything we do is a relationship. Everything in our life is a relationship between you, either you and someone else, or you and something, or you and yourself, or you and the divine, and you look at it.
So just on that, so how he jumps in, because most people, when we say, okay, we're going to talk about relationships, most people will just think about that as person to person. It's human relationships. But there's even bigger relationships out there, or there's more relationships out there. And even though today's going to be about the human to human more so, is I also want you guys to be thinking about what about your relationship with different energies of things, your relationship with money, for example, because often people are abusive in that relationship to themselves or in reverse or to others from a monetary perspective, but it's still a relationship. So when Doug's talking about, to people or to things, that's what we're talking about. It's the energy of things, or even to, like we were talking about this morning, the relationship that you have with your home, for example. That's a solid object, but it still has an energy, and it's still, these rules that we talk about relationships, they still apply.
Yeah. So like with the objects, the money or the home, do you treat it with loving kindness, or do you just take it for granted and treat it for just with disrespect? One of the things that I look at, especially in that, like in the home or the money, is I say, well, if I was in a marriage with it, where would I be sleeping? Would I be in bed with it, or would I be out on the
couch,
or even outside? And when I first looked at this back in when I was brought to my attention, I went, wow, my relationship to money or my relationship to my things is pretty shitty. I don't respect them, and you wonder why they break down, or you wonder why things don't stick to you. You don't attract it in more of it. It's because your relationship towards it is pretty crap. And
so pop a like if you know what we're talking about here, if you can relate to what we're talking about. So give us a like, so that Doug's got a little bit of feedback. That would be great.
Cool. So the thing that we want to look at, and we look at our relationships, and we know that our relationship, we must take responsibility. We must take responsibility for how we are interacting in the relationship and our perspective of what's going on. And when we do that, we can look at it from a couple of different ways, and we find that if we're having a relationship with someone, with anyone else, the number one thing that you've got to always remember when you're in a relationship with someone, they're going to be themselves. They can't help but be themselves. And I had a businessman once said this to me. He says, my guy that I was investing in my company, he was himself. He was a bit of a shark, and he did shark behavior. When the pressure came on, he was naturally himself. And he said, well, when you were there, when you got into bed with him, got into the relationship with him, you knew this behavior from him. So don't be surprised when they show it. And so if you're in a relationship with your partner or whatever, don't be surprised when they're themselves. And it's and this is where we sometimes get upset, where we do our bumbly behaviour. Like I'll do a bumbly behaviour, and then Terry Ann will give me a clip. I go, what? What are you giving me a clip for? And it'll be it'll be I'm being myself, being and she's being herself, because she keep golden example here. Terry Ann loves the benches in the house to be nice and tidy. I'm a little bit of a pig. Well, not too bad, but I tend to leave.
You're messy.
Yeah, and every now and again, when I get a bit out of control, a bit out of hand, she'll give me a clip and say, hey, tidy,
Every now and then when my cup is full and I can't walk into a single room without stuff being left lying around on the floor, so I don't have one room in the house that's tidy.
It's not that bad.
I have a little moment, and both my boys get a clip and say, okay, that's it, I'm done, I'm full, can you please pick up?
But the funny thing is, I don't take it personally that she's taking a personal attack. I take responsibility. Yeah, I've left my stuff laying around. And I know that this is Terry Ann. She likes the house to be in a...
We've had discussions around,
yeah,
it stresses me out. Mess stresses me out.
Yeah.
So
what we do is we have and that's a big key, communication. And yet I know where Terry Ann is, and she knows what I'm like, and she'll tolerate my behaviour to a certain extent.
You got to pick your arguments.
And then she when it gets too full, she gives us a clip, and I go, oh, okay, so I pull my head in and
give him a reminder to perhaps pick up after himself, so that I'm not feeling overwhelmed and stressed in the mess.
But the good thing,
happy wife, happy life is so true.
Yeah. But the funny thing is you look at it and you go, if I went into blame because I left stuff out, and then she said something and I went, oh, you're just being grumpy, you're just blah, 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 we start fighting. But because we take responsibility for what's going on inside of us, Terry Ann doesn't attack me. She goes, hey, I'm getting full, you're leaving stuff everywhere. And that's a cue. That's just a cue for me to go, oh.
Well, so so when we're talking about relationships, I don't know where you were going with this. We're going down another rabbit hole. But when the key thing with relationships really does come down to communication. So one of the things that we have learned is that if I'm stressed about something that's happening within the relationship like that, the way that I communicate with Doug is, when this scenario is happening, I feel this. So I'm not blaming him. I'm not pointing a finger at him. I'm merely letting him know how whatever's happening makes me feel. Now, he can choose to do what he likes with that, but out of respect, because he loves me, he's like, oh, I don't want her to feel that way, so he changes his behaviour. But the key thing is I'm not attacking him by going, you're a pig, you're messy, you're leaving all your stuff lying around, I'm sick of cleaning up after you. I'm not attacking him or criticising him or condemning him for his behaviours. I'm letting him know that the result of those behaviours makes me feel stressed and overwhelmed and full. And I can't be my joyful, loving self when I'm got those feelings around me, and therefore can I ask, so I'm asking for his help to help me feel better.
And this is a good point. Like, she can ask for my help to feel better, but how do I know that she feels that I'm helping her? And this is a question I get with a lot of my clients. They say, oh, I want to be heard, I want to be supported, I want to be loved. And you go, okay, so how do you know you're being helped by me? Because, I have a pretty good crystal ball, but most people, I'm so full of crap, most people don't have a crystal ball and aren't aware on what that actually means. Like it's like the energy. How do you know that I'm being helped? Like Terry Ann could say,
we've had that specific conversation.
Yeah. And one of the ones that was me, I wanted to know how I felt wanted. I wanted to feel wanted by her. And so Terry Ann goes, okay, how would you feel? How do you know you're being wanted by me? And I went, oh, fuck, I don't know. I wouldn't know how to feel wanted. Jeez. And so I had to sit and think about it. And one of the silly little things about me knowing that I felt wanted was when Terry Ann goes to the markets on a Sunday or a Saturday morning, I ask her, oh, do you want me to come? But what I'm really saying is, can I come? And we communicated it, got our communication going.
Because I would just, at the very beginning, so just to back up, at the very beginning when he said, oh, do you want me to come? I was like, oh, you can come on, it doesn't really make any difference to me. Like, to me, it was like, oh, does it make any difference? Yeah, sure, come, it'd be great. If you don't want to come, that's okay too. And so for me, I was neither here nor there. But it wasn't until we had the conversation where, and I asked him, well, how would you know you feel wanted? Because I would often say that, oh, if you want to come, come. If you don't, you don't. That would be my a natural response to him. But what we discovered when Doug actually went in and I said, well, how would you know you were feeling wanted? He said, well, when I asked that, for you to say, yes, I want you to come. It was like, okay, well, I can do that.
Yeah, and it's not every time.
Yeah, I agree, Margaret. Responsibility, communication responsibility. So true.
Yeah.
So true.
And this is a biggie that we go and look at, and because I hear people say, "Oh, I want to be seen." Okay, well, how do you know you're being seen? What are the behaviours that would help the person to be able to help you know that you're being seen by them?
Because I think this is probably the key point out of today's Facebook Live, is that if you don't know what that is for yourself, how can you expect your partner or the people around you to be able to deliver that to you? And so it's really important for you to figure out, for the things that you feel like you're missing in your life, is to know, well, if you had them, what would it look like? And then being able to communicate that to the people around you. That's probably the key message from today's Facebook Live.
Oh, it's huge. Yeah, it is, because it's a biggie. Because we sit there and we try and work it out.
We assume they know. And Doug made a really good comment to me. A couple of things have happened for me lately. He said, assume simply means making an ass out of me and you. All right? That's what it spells out. Never assume anything. What does it take just to ask that extra little bit of question just that little bit more to get that little bit more information. But you have to know what it is for yourself in order for other people to be able to deliver it to you. Actually, just another point on that, it's something that we're teaching Jermaine at the moment, was a couple of things have come up from the communication with him. And the biggest lesson that I'm teaching him at the moment is, if the person receiving your communication doesn't act how you want them to act, it's because the communication has been unclear. It's your responsibility. There's that word again, Margaret. It's responsibility. Right? Yeah. You need to take a responsibility for your communication to be heard. So if somebody doesn't get what you're saying, it's your responsibility to change how you're delivering that, or think of how can you say that in a different way. Yeah. Really important.
Yeah, because that's the thing where people hear differently. Like Terry Ann will tell me that she's cold, and I'll go, yeah, so am I. But what she's really saying is, can you get me a blanket? Or can we turn the heat up?
Or can we close the doors? Or is anyone else cold so I can, shut the windows and doors and get blankets out, or things like that. And it's a different, people speak, that's what we call, I speak very inferential, meaning I infer things. Some people speak very direct. But interesting enough, I hear direct. I don't hear inferential. Yeah. Our son speaks very inferential, and he'll say something, and I'm like, okay, what's he trying to ask? What's he trying to ask? So communication is key to anything with relationships. But I think just, coming back to that one point, is you've got to know what it is for you, and then you have to be able to communicate that in a way that other people can hear it if you want that to be delivered back to you. That's how you increase the quality of your relationships.
Yeah. And it's the behavior. Because, like some people, I want to feel loved. Well, how do you know you feel more loved? Okay, I'm sending you loving thoughts. Do you feel more loved, hon? Not really?
Yeah, no, I need things. You need to buy me things.
but they'll have certain certain ways, a certain behaviour is what they need, to show someone that you love. You can think you love them as much as you want, but they may not be, and your behaviour is shitty. Well, that's not showing congruency.
You can send them links of what you want for Mother's Day. You can give them all the hints in the world of what you want them to do for Mother's Day.
I got it though.
You got the first part right. It was a huge improvement on last year. You can give them as much communication, but if it's not being received at the other end, you may not get what you want.
But what we're looking at is the behaviours. You've got to take responsibility. Again, that word is around the behaviour. Are you changing your behaviour? If your partner's wanting to certain things, are you changing your behaviours so that they get their needs met? And if it's important to them,
and
it should be
behaviour and communication.
If it's important to them, it needs to be important to you. You may not think it's that important, but if it's important to them, you've got to hold that space and go, well, hold on, this is important to you. And you can find out why. Ask the question. So this is really important to you. How does it make you feel? What does it do for you? How come that where is it there for you? And they open up. And then you go, oh, wow, never looked at it like that. Yeah, I guess that would be important. And then the last final little thing that I want to touch on is we use a special technique when it comes to making sure that we don't end up in a cat fight. And it's called the nipple crunch technique.
Oh, I'm scared where you're going.
And the nipple crunch is when we get a slight irritation, or we get something gets said, or something plays out a certain way. What we do is we bring it to attention. Again, we communicate it, and we say, "Hey, this is, when you said that, this is what was up for me." Because what happens is, otherwise we feel a resistance towards them when the other person does something, and we get their resistance, and then we tend to get that's the next one. It's a irritation towards them because they do it again, or they do something similar, and then it just builds, and it's like starts off as a little pimple and it ends up in this massive big abscess. And then they finally put the one little straw on the top, and then there's this massive explosion, and it's so over the top. But it's because you haven't nipped it in the bud, and so you've now got this big mess over something that'll be really silly, like, oh, you spilt the milk on the bench. It's got nothing to do with spilling the milk on the bench. It's got to do with all these other things that haven't been clipped along the way. And so one of the things that we do is this is, when you do that, this is how it makes me feel. When I do this, this is what happens for me. And you go, oh, geez, I didn't even think about that. No, you didn't. And what we do is we come back and we actually take responsibility and we start cleaning it up. But the nip and crunch technique is such a, it's not nitpicking. It's actually being honest and say, hey, this is how I feel. This is what's up for me. And then if you're being a little bit pedantic, you ask the question to yourself, wow, am I being over the top here? What's actually going on? Why am I really irritated about that? And then you can go down all sorts of rabbit holes into what's actually really going on. But the big thing that we look at is, how do we change that? Okay, you good?
I'm good.
Yeah, so as you can see, we've got a loving relationship because Terry Ann knows I'm right all the time, and that's all that needs to happen. But the thing is,
He's had a big week this week.
So just allow yourselves to, enjoy yourselves and enjoy your partner. You pick the partner and you're with the people that you're with for a reason, and you love them dearly. It's just that sometimes that we do behaviours and things like that irritate each other because we forget and we're being ourselves.
So just remember, when you're talking to somebody, if you want a different outcome, think about if something upsets you, let them know how whatever's happening makes you feel. It's not about them, it's about your feelings that you're communicating to them, and can they help you shift your feelings. So if you communicate from that perspective, and then make sure that the communication that you're giving them is received, that they're actually receiving what you're saying, then you'll find that your relationships across the board will improve.
Cool. Okay, guys, thanks for listening. And I will be working with this some more in the group that I work with at 10:30. If you're interested in joining that group, I'll put a link up there. It's a little membership site that I have people come in, and we actually work with the energy. We clear the energy around all this. So there's one thing to get an understanding from it cognitively, but when we move the energy, it just moves through so much quicker. Okay, guys, you take care and enjoy. See ya.
Bye, guys.